The renowned emperor Marcus Aurelius, known for his Stoic philosophy, once said, "Remember that not everything is under your control, but also remember that not everything depends on others." This statement illustrates the importance of balancing personal responsibility with external influence in our lives. On one hand, it reminds us that there are things we cannot control, events that are beyond our grasp and can affect our plans and goals. On the other hand, it warns us not to entirely blame others for our successes or failures, emphasizing the importance of taking our share of responsibility. Lesson 1. Understanding the nature of frustration. Understanding the nature of frustration is fundamental in our journey towards serenity and inner balance. Just as the Stoics taught us about the dichotomy of control, we can apply similar principles to how we deal with frustration in our lives. Imagine yourself in a situation where things do not go as planned. Perhaps you have dedicated yourself to a project, invested time and effort, and in the end, the results did not meet your expectations. At that moment, it is crucial to recognize that while we have control over our efforts and actions, we do not have absolute control over the final outcome. Epictetus, a wise Stoic, reminds us that some things are under our control, while others are beyond our reach. Here, it is essential to understand that our frustration often results from rigid expectations regarding the outcome. When we expect everything to happen according to our plans, any deviation becomes a source of distress. The key to dealing with frustration lies in how we interpret and respond to it. Instead of blaming yourself or the world, it is possible to adopt a more sensible approach. Ask yourself if your frustration arises from something within your control. If it does, focus your energy on taking constructive action to overcome the obstacles. On the other hand, if the source of your frustration is beyond your control, accept it with serenity and adapt to the circumstances. Remember that your happiness should not depend on external outcomes but on how you choose to react to them. Reflect on past moments when frustration overwhelmed you. You may realize that over time, these experiences led to new opportunities and personal growth. The practice of Stoicism teaches us that frustration is a natural reaction, but it is our judgment and response that shape its impact on our lives. In a world full of challenges and twists, understanding the nature of frustration empowers us to live with serenity, knowing that while you have control over your efforts and actions, you do not have absolute control over everything. Lesson 2. Developing resilience. In a world filled with challenges and obstacles, the pursuit of resilience emerges as a solid strength for those who want to face frustrations with calm and wisdom. Resilience does not imply becoming insensitive to emotions or succumbing to adversity. On the contrary, it is about maintaining balance and not being swept away by the turbulence of frustration. Imagine yourself in a situation where things do not go as planned, where expectations and frustrations seem to be lurking. In these moments, Stoicism teaches us to cultivate a mindset that allows us not to be shattered by circumstances. Remaining steadfast like a rock in a turbulent sea is essential. Recognizing that we cannot control all external variables but can control our reaction to them is crucial. Frustration often results from rigid expectations regarding the outcome. Ask yourself if what frustrates you is within your control. If it is, act with determination to overcome the challenge. If it is not, it is time to practice resilience. Resilience teaches us not to allow external circumstances to dictate our emotions. It invites us to transcend the limitations of intense emotions and adopt a more serene and balanced perspective. By cultivating resilience, we learn not to be carried away by the current of frustrations. Remember that your happiness and well-being are not conditioned by external reality but by how you choose to interpret and react to that reality. Look back on your life and reflect on moments when frustration seemed unbearable. Over time, many of them have turned into opportunities for growth and learning. The practice of resilience shows us that, although we may feel the storms of life, we can be like the captain of a ship, maintaining the course even in the midst of turmoil. In a world full of challenges and uncertainties, understanding how not to be affected by frustration is a valuable skill that allows us to remain calm, strong, and centered, regardless of the circumstances. Lesson 3: Freeing yourself from the weight of the past. Imagine yourself carrying a heavy backpack filled with past frustrations and regrets. With each step, you feel the burden of these baggage items, which not only affect your present but also cast shadows over your future. Holding on to these past burdens is like dragging chains that prevent us from moving forward with lightness and clarity. Past frustrations and regrets have the power to profoundly influence our lives. They can keep us trapped in a cycle of negative thinking, creating a lens through which we see the world. As Epictetus said, people are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. Our past experiences are shaped by the ongoing interpretation we give them. Consider two people, a Stoic and an average person. One of them carries the weight of these experiences, often reliving frustration and regrets, which affect their choices in the present and undermine their ability to build a more promising future. The other person, on the other hand, chooses to learn from these experiences, apply the lessons learned, and face the future with optimism and determination. Clinging to past regrets and frustrations is like holding onto chains that prevent us from moving forward. To find the path to liberation, it is essential to cultivate detachment. It all begins with accepting the past, acknowledging that we cannot change what has happened, but we can change how we interpret it and how it affects our present and future. The practice of detachment teaches us to release these emotional burdens, allowing us to live with greater lightness and clarity. As we practice acceptance and transform our past experiences into opportunities for learning, we gain the ability to build a more promising future. The freedom to choose how to react to circumstances is a gift that enables us to create a brighter and more satisfying narrative for our lives. By embracing the practice of detachment, we not only enrich our present but also shape a brighter and more resilient future. Remember that the past can be a lesson, but it should not be a prison. Detachment frees us, allowing us to embrace the opportunities that the present and the future offer us. Lesson 4: Navigating the crossroads of expectations and frustration. In our lives, we often chart paths filled with expectations. We hope that things unfold according to our plans and place our hopes in specific outcomes. However, when these expectations are not met and we face failure, frustration often settles in as an unwanted shadow. What if, instead of resisting this frustration, we saw it as an opportunity to grow? Our journeys are like winding roads, and we cannot always control all the events we encounter. When our expectations are not met, instead of succumbing to disappointment, we can seize the chance to reassess our path with serenity and flexibility. Ask yourself, are my expectations realistic? Frustration often thrives when our expectations are out of alignment with reality. This does not mean that we should give up on our goals or dreams, but that we need to be willing to adjust our expectations to align with the complexity of the world. Consider the story of an entrepreneur who dreams of launching a new product in the market. He works tirelessly, invests resources, and has high expectations for success. However, the product does not achieve the expected success. Instead of succumbing to frustration, he chooses to view failure as a valuable teacher. He examines what went wrong, learns from his mistakes, and applies those lessons to future endeavors. The frustration that initially seemed like an insurmountable obstacle becomes a ladder for growth and improvement. Here lies the key to dealing with frustration resulting from unmet expectations, turning it into a learning opportunity. Ask yourself what you can learn from the situation, how it can shape your future, and how you can grow from these experiences. Frustration is not a dead end, but a crossroads that allows us to choose between surrendering to negativity or embracing resilience. When we view frustration as a signal to evaluate our expectations, it becomes a catalyst for self-reflection and growth. Instead of resisting frustration, use it as fuel for your goals, where every challenge, no matter how frustrating it may seem, becomes an opportunity for maturity and prosperity. Before we move forward, I would like to remind you to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Frustration, as an obstacle to progress, is a complex and powerful emotion that, when not properly controlled, can become a significant hindrance to our advancement. The pursuit of stoicism, among other things, aims to help us understand how to overcome this emotional barrier and continue our journey of personal growth. Imagine a river flowing smoothly toward its destination. Now, introduce a barrier, an unexpected obstacle in its path. What happens? The flow is interrupted, water accumulates, pressure increases, and the river becomes blocked. Frustration acts in the same way in our lives. It interrupts our flow, increases emotional pressure, and prevents us from moving forward with clarity and effectiveness. For example, imagine you are working on an important project, and things are not going as planned. Frustration begins to threaten your productivity and focus. Instead of being carried away by frustration, stop and reflect. Ask yourself why you feel this way. Is it the expectation of perfection causing this frustration? Is it the fear of failure? Or is it external pressure? Once you identify the source of your frustration, you can start working on a solution. Instead of seeing frustration as an insurmountable obstacle, see it as a reminder to adjust your course, redefine your expectations, or simply practice patience. Frustration, when well managed, can become a motivator for improvement and growth. Remember that frustration is not an enemy but a challenge that we can overcome. Using the wisdom of Stoicism, we can learn to control our reactions and direct our energy toward problem solving. Instead of allowing frustration to paralyze us, we can use it as a springboard for progress, continuing to flow toward our goals with determination and serenity. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you want to learn more about Stoicism, click on the link pinned in the comments to access unique and exclusive content. Until next time.